I'm Heather Knight, and I'm a ceramic artist.
Hello, I'm Chris Stafford, and this is Art, the podcast where we get to know women from around the world of visual arts. This is Season 2, Episode 48. My guest this week is the American ceramic artist Heather Knight. Heather says, "With my work, I hope to bridge modern design and the natural world by paring down the essence of things to repetitive textures and basic form." Heather's all hand-built creations become unique pieces of art of the finest heirloom quality. Heather was born in Houston, Texas in 1977, the second youngest of 10 siblings in a blended family, which she describes as chaotic. Heather attended numerous schools as a child, and after discovering ceramics in high school, she eventually blazed her own trail by choosing colleges with art programs. However, in 1999, Heather left the College of Charleston to pursue cooking. Then, later in 2006, she graduated from the University of North Carolina, Asheville, with a BFA in ceramics. After spending time as a chef, Heather returned to art and decided to turn it into a business. She opened Element Clay Studios in Asheville, North Carolina in 2007, and subsequently established her style, which is widely recognized for its striking combination of modern textures, patterns, and shapes by nature. Heather now lives in Savannah, Georgia, with her two sons, Caleb and Oliver. Heather, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me this week.
Hi.
Well, I think this is going to be fun. We've already had a good conversation about dating, so we know where we are about dating apps.
Yes, don't do it.
No, it's good advice. I've got too many friends telling me I should do it when I've had bad experiences. So you've met a friend now, so it's working out for you. Dating's working out for you again.
Maybe. TBD.
Okay. There's an asterisk beside that. All right. Fair enough. Well, we do want to talk about where you're coming from today, because you're in beautiful Savannah, Georgia. You're a Texan by birth, but you're coming from Savannah, Georgia. That's hometown for you now.
Yes, I've been in Savannah for 8 years.
What made you go there?
So I was in Asheville for a long time, and I just, I had a young family, and my business was kind of big and crazy, and I was just craving a simpler, quieter life, and, wanted to be closer to the ocean. So, I just kind of moved myself down here.
So you chose Savannah because of the food. I know the food's so good down there.
That wasn't part of the decision making, but that's, it's always nice to have good restaurants.
Well, first of all, since we're recording in November, it seems not long ago you all had that terrible hurricane down there. So was that something that impacted you?
Yeah, I was shut down for about a week. I had no power, freeze down, that kind of stuff. So, I holed up in a hotel and took some days off. I just decided to make a vacation of it.
That was one way to deal with it. But you moved from Asheville, so you probably got a lot of friends up in Asheville, and that was impacted really badly, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're in bad shape. Like the neighborhood where my studio was is basically destroyed. So there's a lot of displaced artists at the moment in Asheville.
Yeah, there really are. And some terrible stories about the loss of life, of course, but loss of property too. Mm-hmm. Really, really badly. And it is such a huge artistic community there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what appealed to you when you moved there?
No, I was actually cooking for a living when I moved. I mean, I moved there, like 1999, 2000. So I was like a completely different human at that point. Art wasn't really on the radar, but, it did eventually become part of my life. I went to college and, opened my own studio and eventually ended up at the River Arts District.
So that was version 2 of Heather Knight, then the chef.
Yeah, that was definitely a phase in my life. Yeah, I've had big kitchen aspirations at one point.
How did that come about?
I was at College of Charleston and really feeling aimless and not like there wasn't a good art department, and I wasn't really ready to like commit myself to my education, and like had no idea what direction I wanted to go in my future, at 17, 18, 19 years old. So I ended up having a roommate for a time that was a chef, and he just kind of inspired me. Like, I didn't even know it was a thing. I'd been in the restaurant industry since I entered the workforce, but not, in that way. And so when he kind of exposed me to cooking and the artistry of it, and I was like, oh, like this is something that I could, build upon my experience and like develop a career for myself. And I don't need to like, get a special education or, do anything really except just go and be hungry for knowledge and learn. And I could go anywhere in the world and always have something to fall back on. So I just took that spark and went for it.
Was that something you were interested in as a child then at home? Did you cook with the family? Did you get involved with that aspect of it when you were a child?
No, not really. I mean, that was just like, so, cooking was just something that like my mother like had to do as like a housewife or whatever. Like, it wasn't like an inspiring, it was just like the same menu every week, which I think was why, like, when like the light bulb moment, like I think he made like, I don't know, it was like maybe lobster, macaroni and cheese one night or something, and it was just like, oh, like food can be this like really elevated thing. So I don't know, like it really wasn't something that I was that into, but I, was already familiar with the restaurant industry and was very comfortable there. And like, it just made sense to me to take it a step further and learn more and like use my creativity in a way that could also make me money,
Yeah. And when there's food involved, that's a real incentive, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. You also eat really well when you work in restaurants. So like, at least I knew I wouldn't starve.
So which aspect of it was? I'm curious because, there's so many specialisms in cooking, in being a chef. Mm-hmm. Which aspect of it did you, the sweet or the savory?
I did a little bit of both. I was all over the place. And ended up, I really ended up like loving being on the line. Like I worked at a like a very busy Mexican Caribbean place in Asheville, and really fell in love with that, like creating daily specials every day and just like the rush of the craziness every night, being on the line and doing a million different things at once. Like, saute pans and grills and, so that was super fun. But then, I also like had a time where I was a pastry chef and like really enjoyed the pace of that and like experimenting with recipes and learning about, bread and pastry and chocolate and all the things, I was all over the place, just hungry for knowledge and excited to learn and expand my skill set all the time. And just, I would land places and there would be opportunities and I just took them.
And as a mother, you've raised 2 boys, Caleb and Oliver, but there's lots of cooking involved there, of course. And is that out of duty or passion now?
Neither. So funny story. So I kept cooking at home for years and years. And when I was married, I would like take a day off every week and like do our meal prep. And, I took it very seriously, like, making sure that like we had, all the best food and all the best ingredients and did the best job. And then at some point I like burn out on trying to be so perfect. And, I went on strike and I'm still on strike. So I don't cook often unless I have someone special that I want to cook for. And even then, it's most likely going to be a cheese plate. So I've gone like completely in the opposite direction. I'm like, I don't have a lot of time. Like sometimes I might, if I have the inspiration, I might take an evening and, cook dinner, but it's rare.
How old are the boys now, Heather?
6 and 11.
And how do they feel about that? Are they quite content with mac and cheese or a pizza?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we do.
That's boys.
They just love kid food. And, we go out to eat and, sometimes we have like gourmet pizza night and, make little flatbread pizzas and get crazy with the ingredients and stuff like that. But like, I keep it pretty simple and easy, like single mom life. I don't, I got a business to run and a household to keep going. Like, I don't have a lot of time to worry about what we're cooking for dinner.
Well, as the boys get older, you could encourage them to learn how to cook, right?
Yeah.
Give them some tips. Yeah.
They love pizza night.
Bet they do. Yeah. Well, let's talk about how the art career started then, because I will say your work is so beautiful, Heather. It really is.
Thank you.
And that has a history to it because that takes years of practice to produce such fine art in such fine. It's not just pottery. It is you, as you say, you're a ceramic artist, and the ceramicism is something that, as an art form, it just develops over time, doesn't it? And your style as well. Mm-hmm. So let's rewind to the start of this story, Heather, and tell us how it all began.
Well, I mean, we have to go way back. So like I took my first ceramics class. I think I was in 10th grade. I was like maybe 14. The first time I was exposed to ceramics and pottery. And it's something that just shaped my world. I was lucky enough to spend some time in Arizona at this high school that just had an incredible art department. And so it was just, everybody's doing photography and painting and ceramics and sculpture and, drawing and all the things. And it was almost like college. I didn't know at the time, but it really shaped my experience and left an impression on me long after I was gone. And I kept kind of ending up in, ceramics class here and there, whether it's, it was at a museum or at another high school that I was in, where whenever I got the chance, I would take a ceramics class. Fast forward, I ended up in college in Charleston, and there's like basically no art department to speak of. So we, diverted to cooking and restaurant life. And when I moved back to Asheville, I started just kind of going to the craft store, buying a bag of clay, and like sitting in my apartment and making pinch pots that would never end up in a kiln or, be fired or finished, but just, to get my hands in clay. And so it was just something that like kept coming back. And then as I went throughout my cooking career, like I got to a point where I was really starting to feel like that life wasn't sustainable for me anymore. And I wanted to get, back into art, and ended up back in college and back in the ceramic studio. Long story short.
Well, you mentioned that you have been to so many schools, too many to list.
Yeah. Yeah. You were like, where'd you go to school? I'm like, where didn't I go to school?
The perpetual student, by the look of things.
Yes, pretty much.
So how did you choose Charleston then as a college? What was it there that appealed to you?
It was the only, full disclosure, is the only place I got in.
I love the honesty.
Yeah, well, the deep South, I had a letter of recommendation, and I'm pretty sure that was from the mayor, and because he used to be my next door neighbor, and I'm pretty sure that was the only reason I got in.
What were you studying there?
Oh, I mean, I was all over the place. I did literature, I did religious studies, philosophy, art. I tried a little bit of everything, and nothing fit, which is why I ended up leaving. It didn't make sense for me to be there, wasting time.
Just take me back so we complete the picture, Heather.
Sure.
As a child, what you were interested in, what subjects you were interested in, and what you were doing at school, and then when you were out of school, before you got to college.
Oh God. I mean, my childhood. When I was really little, I just had to do what my mother wanted me to do. So it was a lot of like typical, very girly girl stuff like ballet and gymnastics and, recitals and all that crap, which is like very much not me. Like I wanted to be like in the woods, in the mud, chasing my brothers around. So eventually, like I didn't really like get into art until high school. It just like wasn't even a thing that was like encouraged or, it wasn't even in existence in my family. And I just kind of stumbled upon it, like I said, in 10th grade. So, it was just kind of random stuff that my parents wanted me to do. And then in high school, when I started developing my own identity and I found the art stuff, then I was like, oh yeah, that's it. This is where I belong. This is why none of this other stuff made sense. It's because I want to be creative and get dirty.
You knew what you wanted to do. Yeah, really get down into the mud, quite literally.
Yeah, like quite literally.
Where did you fall amongst your siblings? Are you the oldest, the youngest? When you said you were chasing your brothers, I'm wondering if you were older than them or younger.
Oh, I was younger. I'm the second to youngest. Like my family tree is kind of insane, but like I have all told like step and half siblings, lots of blended families and crazy things, but I'm basically the second to youngest out of 9 or 10. I don't even know. It's a lot of us.
Was it hard then to make your mark and your own identity? Or did you find that came later when you were in high school, when you started, as you say, to get an interest in art then? But did that apply to other things like music and dance and dating, and other social activities?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like hit my stride. Like when I got to high school is like when it all started kind of clicking. I think when I hit adolescence, I started to realize like I was like, I don't quite fit in with like what what my parents think and like the people around us think I should be doing and should be looking like, and the music I should be listening to and the things I should be doing and the people that I started kind of veering off, and realizing that like I was a little different and, finding my place and my voice at that point.
What music were you listening to then?
Oh gosh. Oh my God, we have to think back to like late 80s. I mean, the first thing that came to mind was like Violent Femmes. Like I remember like listening to the Violent Femmes and like, church youth group and like getting in trouble.
Were you a bit of a rebel then?
Yeah, I would say so. I still am.
Oh, well, that can be a good thing. No regrets then?
0.
I love that.
Yeah.
What else were you doing then as a young adult?
I mean, besides getting into trouble, I don't know. Not much.
Were you into sports?
No, I'm not sporty.
What about music? Did you learn to play anything?
I did. I played the flute in middle school. I was first chair in the middle school band in like 6th and 7th grade. And then I think 8th grade, I was like, oh, band's not really cool. So I think I stopped doing that because I was the new kid all the time. Like, and just to put that into context, like I changed schools at least once a year, if not twice. Like I was always the new kid. And so, as you get older, like the activities you do can like really hinder your social life, being like the new kid and then being like, oh, I'm a band geek. So like, I didn't want to be like going into new schools in 8th and 9th grade and be like labeled a band nerd,
So how come you were moving so often? Was that a family move?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of it. Like, there's just a lot of instability in my family. like, divorces and employment things. And my identity crises with my parents, and, who knows? It's all a mess.
And now you told me you are estranged from them. So are you in a good place? Are you happy where you are?
Oh yeah. Leaving my family behind me in the dust was like the best thing I've ever done for myself. Absolutely. 1,000%. Best thing I've ever done.
How did that shape you though, and your art? Because sometimes the childhood experiences can really impact the way we define ourselves as an artist.
Yeah, I mean, I think my thesis, like for my senior show, was all about like developing autonomy and like a voice for myself. So I think it's something that's like that I've struggled with my whole life, trying to like craft an identity for myself and a voice, surrounded by people that all they wanted to do was crush me. So I think it just made me like louder and louder and stronger and stronger. And honestly, like if you want to get me to really do something, tell me that I can't. So I kind of used all of that like as my, fuel.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with it came a rebelliousness then, and perhaps some resentment.
Oh, 1,000%. But use it for good.
Use it for good, exactly. You turned a negative into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the art came along and you were to choose what type of art you would be doing, and it's clearly ceramics was for you. But what you've done in terms of establishing your own brand, it's very refined and very delicate, which may have gone another way, given your childhood.
Right? You would think. I know. I have this like I feel like my personality is like very much that though. I've had like close friends call me like prickly on the outside and like soft on the inside, like I'm like this weird mixture of like, rebelliousness, but then like also like I have this like need for order and tidiness and precision and efficiency, like it's really, and like it's just a weird combination.
Well, what's your horoscope?
I'm a Sagittarius. I don't know anything about horoscopes.
And I only know some things, but I wondered if that would tell us anything.
I don't know. I'm just a weird combo. It's just the way that I came out, just like I think part of it too is just take it, like I take great pride in whatever I do. So, whether it was cooking or, whether I'm doing redoing a house or, my ceramics, like there's just a level of craftsmanship that I like have to attain, to like put my name on it, like I've just always been that way.
A perfectionist.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I've tried to let go of a lot of that, but yeah, there is definitely perfectionism in there for sure. It's part of the recipe.
And the attention to detail then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How would you describe your personality today compared to what you were as a young adult?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I think I'm like kind of full circle. Like I'm back there really. Like I really like got very insular and uptight somewhere along the way and like lost my wildness. And then I kind of I've brought her back in midlife, if that makes sense. So I'm, I'm actually very close to like I would say teenage me is like alive and well today,
Are you a rule breaker?
Yeah, I hate rules. I do. That's why I work for myself by myself. I'm like, don't tell me what to do.
And if you go to a party, are you one of the first on the dance floor, or are you just going to do what the hell you want to do, and it may or may not be on the dance floor?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to, surprisingly, like, I tend to kind of cling in corners. I like to have some fun and socialize, but like most of the time, I just kind of like the safety of like my friends and like the corner of the room. I like to watch more than be the star of the show.
So what do you do for fun now then, when you're not in the studio, when you're not being a mom?
I hang out with my girlfriends. I don't have a lot of free time. Travel a little bit, get tattooed a lot. And just try, like, honestly, I just try to take care of myself and like, take walks, do yoga, read books,
Are you into self-help and self-care?
Yeah. I mean, like personal growth is a big part of my life. So, I just got into Stoic philosophy this year. That's been like a real game changer for me. Well, I try to take care of myself and learn new things and like become better and better all the time, for sure.
Your artwork is the center of your life, and it's something you do on a daily basis then. Are you disciplined because the boys are in school, obviously, and so your hours probably revolve around their academic calendar, but how many hours a day would you devote to the studio?
Oh gosh. I mean, on average, I work about probably 50, 60 hours a week. I've always been like that. Like I'm a maniac. My work ethic is crazy. I guess some people like have a hard time like being self-employed. I'm like not one of those people. So I get up and get after it. Like, the first thing I do is like sit down on my computer with a cup of coffee and check my emails and, start the day.
Early riser?
Yeah, I get up at 6:30 every morning. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I at least do like minimum, studio time, 6 hours per day. And then, depending on the time of year and what's going on and my deadlines and all that stuff like that, could go up to 8 to 10, just depending.
What percentage of your production then, Heather, now is commissions?
Well, I'm like a lot of my business is like, it's kind of a lot of things. Like, so, I have, my Etsy shop. So I have like that. And then I take like custom orders and then sell my one of a kind work on my website. So that usually fills me up kind of like a couple months out. And then I also work with designers and consultants, and custom orders, and it all kind of just fluctuates and depends on, what's going on. It goes up and down. Like sometimes it's all Etsy, sometimes it's all designers, sometimes it's, 30% this, 30% that, 30, it just really depends. Like I just kind of have to keep it all in the air, but I'm usually booked out 3 to 4 months at a time on average.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that a happy balance for you now then, where you are with your, what you're creating?
I mean, I'm never satisfied. Let's be real. I mean, like sometimes I'm like, God, I wish I had more free time to make, more new ideas and stuff. And I just have to squeeze it in. And that's kind of the best balance that I found is just like, I tried to build enough flexibility in my timelines when I lay out deadlines for clients so that I have, like, I know that I can, get sidetracked for a couple of days and like maybe work on personal work for a minute and scratch the itch and then go back to what I'm doing and not like get myself into trouble. But that's about the best that I've found, is just to kind of build enough flexibility in there where if like I go in and I'm like, I cannot work on that project today. Like I need to do something for me. I have at least like a day or two and, nothing's going to fall through the cracks. And that's just, like I just build my personal collections kind of in those little windows of time and, fill my creative cup, so to speak.
And is this mostly freehand or on the wheel as well?
Everything is hand built. Like I was in the studio the other day, like looked at my wheel and was like, when was the last time I don't think I've thrown a pot in like 3 or 4 years. But the wheel's there just in case.
Just in case. It's not for sale. If anybody's listening, it is not for sale.
I have it there at my disposal. But yeah, I haven't hopped on in quite a while.
So let's talk about your cultural influences, Heather. And you had mentioned a couple of women that were significant in your early years there. Megan Wolfe, who was your ceramics professor, and Alice Munn, who was your creative mentor. So tell us how they shaped your cultural development.
So Megan is, I would say, like the heaviest influence, like early on. She's an incredible organic sculptor. Makes these really like large scale, like colorful, multi-part pieces. I learned a lot from her. She taught me everything I know. But I think the first project, like I think it was the very first project in Ceramics 1. When I walked into that studio, it was an organic teapot. And not surprisingly, I picked a sweet gum ball. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they're like really spiky. and a lifelong obsession was born at that point. I don't know. I mean, like thrown pottery and tableware, and then that got flipped on its head. It took me a while to catch on to the fact that I was a sculptor, but with her help, I eventually figured that out.
So that's a critical moment, right? When you're developing yourself as an artist, from being, just throwing pots to realizing you're actually a sculptor.
Yeah, it took me a minute. I can be a little bullheaded, and I really clung to the pottery wheel for way too long. But eventually I figured it out. So it was like part of my training, which I'm glad that I did. I had to go through that training anyways, to, sit down and make, hundreds of cylinders and technically master, pottery throwing was part of my education. So I do have that foundation, and it's like riding a bike. Now I can just, I can pop on, not that I ever do, but I can. But then my pots, as I advanced, my pots started getting weirder and weirder, and less, it's how weird can I put little legs on the, it was literally they were walking off the table and becoming these anthropomorphic little creatures and things. And it's you can't even use this. It's just it looks cool. And then it was why are you even making, And so my professors kept being why are you making pots at all? And asking me these questions and turning my stuff upside down. And, so then I started kind of making, I was still throwing, but I was throwing things and making them into sculptures. And that's really where it started.
So what was Megan's reaction to all that then? Did she encourage you into that direction once you realized that was something you loved?
Oh yeah, but she also thought I was a crazy person because I was so I was also, again, I'm very stubborn, and I was fully committed to porcelain, and I was learning, and porcelain's hard. It is the hardest clay to work with. And, because I'm stubborn and because I love a challenge, I was I'm going to do the craziest things possible with this impossibly difficult clay body. And she was why are you doing this to yourself? You could, switch clays, your life would be easier. You would have less technical problems. And I was nope. I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to learn everything there is to know about porcelain, and I'm going to push it as far as I possibly can. And like, everyone thought I was crazy, but like most things in my life, when everyone tells me I'm crazy, I'm like, watch me, like hold my beer. I'm going to crush it. And I did. Like, I learned what I can and can't do. I'm still pushing those limits today, but I mastered that clay body. And, you know, like people are like, I can't believe you do that in porcelain. I'm like, yeah, like, cause I know what I can do and what I can't, cause I did crazy things.
So you enjoy that aspect of, you know, pushing the boundaries.
I do. Yeah, I do. And I'm like, you know, again, like tell me that I can't and then watch me. So, you know, I do like have a lot of disasters, but you know, when I'm trying things for the first time or, you know, figuring things out, but you know, I've mastered my material to such a degree that I really can do just about anything I want to do.
How has your patience developed over the years? Were you at one point impatient when you were rebellious, when you were younger? And has that sort of settled down now and as you've gotten older?
Yeah, I mean, I've softened around the edge. You know, motherhood and middle age have softened me around the edges for sure. But, you know, I mean, sometimes my work drives me crazy, but then at the same time, I like my favorite things to make are the things that take me a torturously long amount of time and are really hard to do. I don't know why that is, but like if I make something really difficult, I'm completely engaged. And maybe that's it. It just like takes up all of my brain space and I can think of nothing else. Like that's the best place for me to be.
Who were your sort of rock stars of the industry when you were developing your own style? Who were you admiring? Was it Asian art at all? The Japanese?
Yeah, I mean, I studied, you know, the history of porcelain and, you know, I had to write all these like ridiculous research papers and I haven't thought about any of it in like a million years. But, you know, like how the Europeans had to develop their own porcelain and had like, you know, all these guys like in laboratories, like figuring out, you know, how to make this clay because you can't get it from Japan. And, you know, like when I was making pottery, I think it was more influenced by like, tradition, whether it was Japanese or European. But like now, you know, once I started getting into sculpture, like it became a very different ballgame. And I can't say there's a lot of people like at the time, because, you know, it wasn't like now where you like go on Pinterest, you know, it was like you had to like look in books. And like, so, I mean, Alice, she came and I feel like she did like maybe she came and taught us at UNC. I think she did.
This is Alice Munn, your mentor.
Yeah, Alice Munn. And then, oh God, I can't remember the guy's name. I'll have to think about. There was another sculptor. He's like an older gentleman and I can't remember his name right now. But they came and like taught for a semester and, so that, you know, just learning new techniques and from people that were like out, like doing creative work and, doing more like installation and sculptural things that like I didn't even know that existed. I feel like it wasn't a thing like it is now at the time, you know, like now I see like, you know, Fenella Elms got really big. Valeria Nascimento, would be like the, you know, probably two people that like influenced me later. It kind of became, you know, we're like, I call us like internet friends, you know, through the power of like social media and stuff, you know, you start like talking to people that you like looked up to in awe. And now they're like, you know, in your DMs having conversations as, you know, more as peers, which has been really cool.
So you're still in touch with both of them then, both Alice and Megan? Well,
Fenella's passed away in the last couple of years. But yeah, Valerie and I, you know, sometimes converse and like, you know, just other ceramic artists, like, you know, we kind of have a little community these days.
What do they say about your work now? And having watched the growth of it, the development of it over the years, what's their reaction to what you're producing today?
Well, I mean, I think Alice probably has the best perspective, just seeing like, I mean, she's been there since like, you know, I was a baby basically. Like, I think I was probably like 26 when I met her. And she, you know, has seen me like in my artist residency when I was still trying to like figure out what the heck I was doing post back. And then, you know, in my, you know, I did like a little teaching and, you know, she was around for that. And then watching this all develop into what it is today. I mean, I think like she's, you know, proud. And I think it's probably been pretty cool to watch from the outside. Like, I don't see the progression as much because it's, you know, it's my life. So like, you know, I feel like I'm like treading water and really I've like made all this progress, you know, but I don't really see it.
You mentioned teaching there. I wondered if you have time to teach, if you enjoy it, or if there's something for the future.
No, I mean, I haven't. That was like the very beginning of my career when I was just trying to make ends meet. And again, I hate rules and I don't like being told what to do. And it didn't really hit for me. Like I thought a lot of things are going to happen in my career. Like I thought I was going to be doing like fine art exhibitions and teaching, and maybe I would go get like, you know, my master's and end up being a professor. Like none of that happened. Like, but the teaching thing now, I don't have time to even think about it. But it really just didn't. I can do it, but I don't love it. You know, like I would rather be in the studio just making things.
Do you like the idea of being a mentor for someone else?
Yeah, I mean, and I have that with my girlfriends, like, you know, kind of in a different way. Like, it's like not really like an artistic mentorship, but like all my girlfriends own businesses, you know, and are creative and like in some way, shape, or form. And that really kind of like, you know, we all kind of do that for each other, like, you know, sharing resources and advice and guidance and support and all that stuff. And then, you know, I mean, people ask me for advice all the time on the internet. They don't take it. So like, I don't really freely give it anymore. Like I thought like early in my career when I was like starting to find success and like, you know, younger artists like came to me like, how did you do this? How did you do that? Like, you know, what can you tell me? And I used to like love the idea of like mentoring younger artists and like bringing them up with me. But I realized very quickly that no one ever takes my advice and they don't want to do the work. And so I stopped wasting my breath. And I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. Because you can't build a career like this without working your ass off. And not many people actually want to hear that or do it. So, you know, the rainbows and unicorns idea that I had about that at the beginning have long since passed.
How do you feel about social media then?
I mean, it's like my whole career is like based on that at this point. I love it. And then there's like some aspects that I'm like, oh, you know, like that's not cute. Like there's a lot of people out there like, you know, stealing intellectual property. And, you know, that's kind of a dark side of it, but it's also part of the game. Like you have, you know, to be relevant and to have a career now, you have to participate. So you might as well make the best of it, you know? And I've built like the last 8 years of my career, like has been all because of Instagram. So I'm not going to hate on it, you know?
No.
It's enabled me to like support my family and like work at home and, you know, do what I do. So
it is a vital marketing tool, isn't it, for artists, really? And yeah, it's free. I mean, apart from the time commitment, it's a free media vehicle.
It is like it's a free and available resource that everyone has available, and you know, it would be silly not to utilize that platform. You know.
So let's talk about where we can find your work and where you're showing it, Heather, and what's coming up for 2025 for you.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I'm just doing the same old. my work's available on my website and my Etsy page. I mostly sell direct. And then I have work with Stephanie Breitbard Fine Art in California. And that's about it. I don't have too many plans yet for 2025, just kind of doing what I'm doing, hoping that I can develop some new work. And I want to do some more installations and kind of get back into some I haven't done a lot of tabletop work this year, and I'm kind of missing it. So we'll see if I can squeeze that in to my schedule.
So what have you been focusing on then this year?
I really this year I kind of took a step back and I've been slowly, like at a very glacial pace, been working on this floral series. I went to New York in February and went to a Judy Chicago exhibit and just got like fired up and was like, I want to go home and make some flowers. And so I was obsessed. Like, I don't know what it just really, it was a whole building, like full of Judy Chicago's like entire life. And it was amazing. And it kind of just shifted a lot of things around for me. And I was just kind of like thinking about my identity as a woman and like where I am in my life and, and so, yeah, I just was like, I'm going to channel this energy into this floral series. And then it's just taken a lot of time because it's all like super intricate and time consuming and stuff I've never done. So I've got about, I would say like maybe 12 or 13 pieces so far that have been successful. Like I thought I was going to be done by the summer, and then I was like, I'm going to be done by Christmas. And now I'm like, maybe I'll be done in 2025. So it's taken some time, but I don't know if it's done. I actually have it on my to-do list this week to like pull them down and assess the situation because I don't even really know what's happening. So I don't know.
Would you like to be in other galleries around the country or even around the world?
We'll see what happens. I mean, I feel like if I keep kind of going in that direction with the wall installations, that might start happening just naturally. I'm not really worried about it. Like, I kind of like being self-represented and doing it how I'm doing it. And I don't know that I'm like equipped to be like building, bodies of work and like large amounts of stuff to like ship out to galleries without being paid up front. So, like kind of how I have things structured works the best for me and the pace that I work at, and like, fulfills my financial needs like immediately. It's like it's a whole other tangent about like the payment structure with galleries and stuff. Like, I don't love how all that works. I don't feel like in this day and age, it like works in the artist's favor at all. So no, probably not. You probably won't be seeing me in a lot of galleries, but maybe, you never know. If the right thing happens, I'm just open to like, if the right thing happens and the right terms are laid out, then, sure, I'm not opposed.
How about size? How big do you like to go? Would you like to go? Can your studio accommodate, something very tall? I mean, is that an ambition to get bigger, or does it depend on the inspiration?
I'm limited to the scale because I work with porcelain mainly, and then also the size of my equipment. Like the porcelain doesn't like to be more than about like 12 inches, like the wall pieces kind of top out at 12 inches. So, and then my kiln's only like 20. So, that's a thing, but I am starting to work a little bit larger, and also like the components that I'm adding to these pieces. Like as I've been developing the new series, like the pieces are getting bigger and bigger. But really like scale, I just play with like the size and scope of the wall installations. Like that's where the playing with the scale gets really interesting because I can do 30, 40, 50, 60 pieces if I wanted on a wall. And that's where the impact comes from. But the size of the actual pieces can only be so big.
So when you look back at your journey through art, Heather, what would be the important milestones, the turning points that have brought you to where you are today?
Oh, God. I don't know. I'm like creatively or like...
Well, and the people really, the opportunities, the doors that have opened that have brought you this way.
Oh, gosh. I mean, obviously, there's been so many things that have happened, like, whether it was like, Megan and Alice when I was in college, or then like, I did like my post-bac year at Odyssey, and just like I worked with a bunch of incredible artists and like learned for a year and took a bunch of workshops and threw away basically everything I made, but made a lot of progress at the same time. And then, like I was thinking the other day, like I found like a portfolio of like photos from like my first year in business. And like, I was dating someone at the time that like, he was an incredible photographer, and I was so lucky. I have goosebumps. I was so lucky to have this person in my life at that juncture, because those pictures are really like what helped me become visible to the world when I, started releasing this work like on Etsy in 2007, he really like found a way to like bring that to life and make the work look like magical, in a way that I couldn't have. And like, ceramic photography is so boring. So, there's that. And then, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of like the cast of characters. I don't know. I mean, I like the whole ceramics community in Asheville, just having all this other clay artists around me, even though they were making pottery, was, wonderful. But here I've been an island. Like I do have like now, like my friend Kirby, like just opened, Knack Studios, and she, is still learning about ceramics, and like, that's again, like feeds back into that like mentorship, and community thing we were talking about earlier. Like she does know how to work hard and like ask me, like I'm like her little ceramics encyclopedia. We're going back and forth all the time, and, talking about clay and kilns and, how to do this and how to do that. And, watching someone's passion for something just grow, and, watching her skills increase like exponentially by the second has been incredible. And she's like kind of building us more of a clay community here in Savannah, and that's super inspiring. I don't know. Like I'm meeting people all the time.
And all these people have influenced you and shaped you in some way to where you are. And it sounds like you're in a very happy place creatively.
Yeah, I mean, really, like I'm pretty happy in like every aspect of my life. I got no complaints right now, and things are pretty good. Running the studio the way I want, and have a really rad community of women around me, and the kids are good, and yeah.
Are those boys showing any interest at all in what you're doing and want to learn from you?
Oh no, I have, my oldest son was in the studio with me. I don't know, the first like 3-4 years of his life before his little brother was born. And like, he would like play with clay and like make little projects and stuff. And then, that kind of waned over time. Like, I think, he turned into a theater kid. So he's my theater guy, and my youngest, like, all he likes to do in the ceramic studio is make a big mess. So like he's really been outlawed. Like he's like, I won't even let him in there because he just destroys everything. And it's been that way. He just doesn't he can't sit still, that kid. He's my wild child. So, but he is like very gifted in like 2-dimensional, like he's a great painter. So, we'll see. They both have like their creative streaks, but they definitely could care less about ceramics.
Well, that's interesting. They, if they've picked up paintbrush already and are interested in that aspect of art, you never know where that would lead in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not like, why don't you guys go play football? Like I'm like, go do some art, go to theater, do you want to like dance or sing or so, I'm definitely like pushing them, in whatever creative direction they want to go in. But I try not to like make them go do clay. They're not very into it, other than Oliver wanting to make big messes. That's as far as it goes.
So what about when they're in the car then? Do you influence them? Was it your music you're playing or their music?
Oh, no, I'm not allowed to play my music. Oh, no way. My music's way too uncool for them. We have like a little station on my apps or whatever, and that's what we have to listen to. I'm not allowed to listen to my own music.
Yeah, well, that will change, eventually.
Maybe.
Be able to turn that around.
I've tried, like, I try to teach them things, like, play stuff for them, give them little educational moments with the music, but they, like, most of the time they're not very into it.
Well, it sounds like you've got a very full life there with your work and with family, Heather. And life is good, and you're producing such beautiful pieces, so long may that continue. And you mentioned earlier that it took you a while to develop your own autonomy and find your own voice, but it sounds as if you've arrived there.
Yeah, hopefully so. Like I just, the goal is just to keep going and be fearless.
Absolutely. Be fearless. I think that's what we'll call this episode, Be Fearless. Heather, thank you so much for taking time to come on the podcast and share your journey with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Be sure to scroll down the show notes for a link to Heather's website and also to her social media. You'll also find a link to our social media. You can leave us a DM on Instagram, and I hope you'll encourage others to follow the show, and please share with anyone you think who might enjoy this show too. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please do leave us a 5-star rating and a review, because that increases our visibility, our rankings on Apple Podcasts, and therefore helps others find the show. You can also, if you're listening on Spotify, leave us a review there too. Every bit helps as we head into the holiday season, where we're going to take a break before we come back with season 3 in 2025. So I would like to take this opportunity to not only thank you for listening to the show for the last couple of years, but also since we're moving into a new season, I'd like to encourage any feedback that you may have as to how we can improve the show. Any suggestions are welcome. You can drop us a line to hollowellstudios@gmail.com and also leave us a DM, of course, on Instagram as well. I'd love to hear your feedback so that we can improve the show and bring it to a wider audience. And I'm also thinking about changing the frequency of the show from weekly to bi-weekly. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. The reason behind it is then I can spend more time on promotional material for the show and, of course, booking guests. So let me know what you think. Again, hollowellstudios@gmail.com is our email address, and you can also leave us a DM on Instagram and Facebook. My thanks again to my guest this week, Heather Knight, and to you for listening. I'll be back next week when my guest will be the illusionist body artist, Vicar Bren. So I do hope you'll join me then.